Hello YouTube. This is part 2 of my video response to Potter's House Oz and his Why People Laugh at Creationists Bible Science. This is going to be part 2. I got stopped at 10 minutes, or just a little short of 10 minutes before. There were quite a few points that he made, and it takes a little longer to refute them than it does to state them to begin with. So here we go. Beginning with Job 40:15. Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Now, this word only means large animal. It could have been any large herbivore. But in Job 40, it says, He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. Now, is that the trunk of a cedar, a limb, a whole tree? Again, you interpret, but you say this is obviously a dinosaur. Now, to me, that's just silly, especially in view of the ascertained fact that dinosaurs lived and died millions of years before people existed. Now, is that interpretation too? Of course it is. But it's interpretation of scientific facts of fossils found in strata that are dated by proven dating methods. Oh, and the sinews of his stones? The very next verse speaks of bones, so stones is not just another word for bones. What were his stones? I don't know what point you're trying to make with the 8th day circumcision. You aver that medical science has only recently discovered that clotting function of blood reaches its peak on the 8th day. You don't, however, provide any proof of that statement. You just make it. Now, Jews do circumcise their male children on the 8th day, but that is merely a ritual called a bris. It's the celebration of entering into the covenant of a new Jewish male. There is no support for your idea that this 8th day circumcision had anything to do with divine knowledge of the clotting function. In fact, as far as I know, non-Jewish males who are circumcised today for reasons of hygiene, although there's some controversy over whether it really does help, are still generally divested of their little foreskins at birth. The penis doesn't really take any longer to heal than the stub of the umbilical cord. It's very common practice. Now, you go to Job 38:35. Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Now this, you say, was a foretelling of radio waves, which, yes, we did know, travel at the speed of light. You also expound that because of the speed of radio waves, we can talk to people on the other side of the world instantaneously. But people in biblical times didn't even know there was another side of the world. The verse you quote from Job was merely part of God's boasting to Job of how powerful he was and how puny Job was. If that whole book proves anything at all, it's that Yahweh was a bully. Job 38, verse 7. The morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Now, this one is really good. Here you posit that the stars singing is a foretelling of radio waves. Now, back in your first statement, you took the uncountable host of heaven from Jeremiah to be stars, when usually the heavenly host are angels. Now, if Job 38:7 is a reference to angels singing, it might make some kind of sense. But saying the stars sang together is a metaphor. It may be a fairly poetic metaphor, but it isn't any more a statement about radio waves than a writer saying the line of trees marched to the distant hills is literally calling trees soldiers. Your last comment on Genesis 1 verse 2 really has no bearing on modern versus ancient science. And while we're on the subject, science is actually a modern concept. There was no such thing as science in the Old Testament times, and what the Greeks posited about the nature of the universe and the world was more in the realm of philosophy than science. In fact, they didn't really test anything that they said. They simply knew certain things. One good example that Bertrand Russell liked to make about Aristotle was that Aristotle claimed that men had more teeth than women. And all he would have to have done to disprove that theory would be to count Mrs. Aristotle's teeth. That really wraps up what I had. It took a little longer than 10 minutes, and I don't want to ramble on any further here. I'm going to attach this along with the other one to your video, and let's see what kind of response we get. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And let me find my stop and so forth here. I have one thing superimposed on the other. I have a written statement that I made superimposed over this picture, and I'm just looking up at the camera once in a while, so I lost my little stop button here. Got it now.